Welcome to another episode of Ruff Talk VR, a weekly podcast with in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer interviews, and the latest MetaQuest and virtual reality news. We join our hosts, the father-son team of D. Scruffles and Stratus today, as they spend another episode breaking down and discussing the world of virtual reality.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joining you with another exciting interview. We've kind of slowed down a little bit on interviews the last couple months just due to travel, but I'm excited to pick things back up. And we're kicking it off today with Jan. He's the creative director at K5 Factory, a studio behind an upcoming free-to-play social VR game called Oktoberfest, The Official Game. So Jan, before I butcher any introduction on you or anything like that, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and I guess what you do over at K5 Factory?
Sure. Thank you for inviting me. So I'm Jan, creative director at K5 Factory. As you already said, I started out my career as animation filmmaker. Studied animation filmmaking, and during I think it was already during my first film production, I discovered VR through the Oculus Kickstarter back then, and that excited me a lot. And since I did 3D animation, as a profession, I felt very close to that medium because I thought, well, I'm creating virtual worlds anyway all the time. So it would be really amazing to dive into them and really, be inside those worlds. And that's what captivated me about the medium. And, I think I've been working in VR since 2014, since I got the first headset shipped, the DK1. And obviously a lot changed since then. But a few things stayed the same. And, I think, for me, one of the most, impressive and also differentiating factors of VR is the feeling of presence. And as we all know, feeling of presence in a room and also feeling of presence of other players if you talk about social VR. And I think, this kind of feeling is very unique to that medium. It can't be created by any other medium. Like we are talking through a webcam, but we don't sense ourselves be present in the same room. And that's the big change in VR. And that's why, in I think 2020, we started thinking about social VR experience at K5 Factory.
And is this the first project by K5 Factory, or do you guys all done previous works and animation stuff? What's kind of the history of them?
Yeah, so my animation work was before I joined K5 Factory. So when I joined that was 2018 when the company was founded. I was there right from the beginning. Like Oliver Simon, our CEO, founded the company based on a project called Anon. So Anon was a film that featuring Clive Owen, Amanda Seyfried, and it is about a world where AR technology is all around us. It's I don't know if you know the film. It's on Netflix, I think, and it's about near future where we all have AR implants in our retinas, and that has become a reality, and there is no big headsets in the way anymore. So, and that film came out in 2018, and Oliver approached me and asked, how can we experience that technology today? What can we do to really understand what's going on there? And that's how everything started. And K5 Factory was founded as a VR XR studio right from the beginning. So it's Oktoberfest is not the first project. So we have worked on a couple of other projects before. One of them is Anon, the game. So we are working on a story-driven game in that universe because we still think that's a very interesting universe to explore. And but we also did a couple of mobile games. Some of them were AR as well. Some were just classic mobile, but had already a little social aspect to it. So I think Oktoberfest is the fourth project, or the fifth that we're doing. We did two other VR games, one VR experience.
So before we jump into what is Oktoberfest, other than what comes to my brain when I hear the word Oktoberfest, have you ever thought of doing any VR animation strictly type story?
Yeah, if that
is something maybe I'm just curious because you're not the first animator we've seen make the move to VR, and most do it very successfully because they like that freedom of. And I know it's an art where you want people to experience your story the best they can. So I'm always curious if there's still that bug to like, oh, I'd love to do like a full, not necessarily a show or the length of a movie, but something, like Madrid Noir or something to that effect.
Totally. I mean, what I would really love to do, and that's the other project, the Anon project, is to do a story-driven VR project. However, while, the beginning of the whole, new VR wave since the Oculus Kickstarter, like in the beginning, it was like, it's changing everything. Soon we're not going to watch TV anymore and so on. I never was quite convinced by that. And then also, as for example, the Google Story Studio came about, like, I don't know if you saw the animations they did. Often the problem was, for my feeling, like, it was really nice to experience those because they only did VR animation films, short films. And they were really nice, but my problem with them was always that when I'm watching a film, I don't want to bother looking around, making sure that I'm sitting on a pivot, a turnable chair that I can always, look in the right direction. And that's something, having done animation films before as, animation director, we are thinking so much about the framing of the camera. Everything has to be perfect in this framing. And we are doing the whole story based on the framing. And VR doesn't have that. So I think for storytelling in a classical way, just do a linear, non-interactive narrative, I wouldn't choose VR as a filmmaker. I would just do a regular, let's say 2D, could be 3D animated film. And that was also the point where I just understood this is not something that's going to replace an existing medium. VR is a new medium. It's just an addition to what we already have, a great addition. And I still love to explore it. But if I would ever do a story-driven project, I would make it interactive, definitely, because that's just so inherent to that medium that I don't want to have, as a director, I don't want to force my audience to turn to the right angle or to the right point in the story. Of course, you have to use the possibilities of, animation to direct attention. You can also greatly use sound, which I love. The spatial sound in VR is just amazing. But in every VR experience that I enjoy, there is a freedom, and I'm not taking away. I don't want to take that away from the audience.
I think it's a great perspective that you can bring to the table because you're actually in the business.
Yeah, has the experience behind it.
I've had Madrid Noir was minor in interactive, I'll say. More sitting and watching. But then remember Beyond the Dish?
Yeah.
Which was more just straightforward documentary. And yeah, if I remember, you could look around, but your attention was really drawn to the dish in front of you or the chef that they were speaking about.
It's definitely an interesting point I've never thought about with VR films is that you have to design it in a way that guarantees that.
Well, it's also got to be frustrating because it's breaking all the rules of what you've ever known for producing a film or an animation, which, like you said, is where that frame is actual. many hours can be spent on how that's going to be set up. And now you're just going to go, oh no, you have 360 degrees.
You have to worry what's behind you. And so. But I don't want to say they are really nice linear VR films. One that I really love, for example, is Battle Scar. I don't know if you saw that. It's about a girl punk band in New York, and it uses the medium in a very interesting way. So that there's great animation just for me that I think maybe I would just do a classical film.
No, I totally get the perspective.
I live for the day when there's going to be a TV sitcom made just for VR. It's filmed exclusively for, you're not going to get this on flat screen, pound salt. It's doing the live VR studio audience as well.
Well, I love seeing the high level backgrounds and minds that come over to VR. I'm always impressed at the backgrounds of people that
they're artists.
Yeah, that get involved in this.
Creators and artists and what they do. So this is just to me a medium it's free flowing. It's wherever there's no limits, no restrictions.
And I think that's actually something much more interesting. What you just said, a sitcom or a theater. VR theater, for me, makes much more sense, because then you could even have a live performance of the actors in VR. And that's, again, social VR, because then suddenly you feel the presence of the actor. It's not just the stage. The stage could deconstruct, become a whole universe, and you as a spectator could just become part of it. So this is a totally different thing. Films are so about that frame, for me at least. So.
No, I agree. I'd love to see real live human actors and actresses in the VR space being recorded live with a real studio virtual audience that obviously wouldn't be, photorealistic avatars, whatever. But you're right, you would be there.
Yeah.
And when you look over and you see the other people in the audience, the joke's funny and you're laughing, or you're told to clap, or whatever the case may be. It's a whole avenue that I think will come to the VR space. It's just a matter of when and
that
how many years.
The industry growing to be big enough to sustain such a thing.
Oh, yeah. Once somebody makes money at it, then it's the Hollywood eyes are going to start looking.
Yeah, this is a fun conversation. I think we could get Jan on just to talk an hour just about VR filmmaking and philosophy and such on that. But diving a bit into Oktoberfest, the official game, do you want to tell our listeners a little bit exactly what it is in case they haven't heard of it yet?
Sure, I can do that. So before I do that, I would like to ask you something. So what's the first thing that comes into your mind when you think about Oktoberfest?
I think this is good for you to answer first, because you haven't been in yet.
When I hear Oktoberfest, like a big party and a lot of beer, a lot of steins, a lot of big mugs, waitresses carrying fistfuls of
beer,
freaking half-gallon jugs of German beer, and a lot of food.
Yeah. I would say my visual is exactly the same. Maybe some dancing.
A lot of lederhosens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I want to come back to that when I explain a bit about the project. So I always ask people that question who are not from Germany or even Munich. So I'll tell you why. So Oktoberfest, we all grew up there, right? So I'm from Munich, K5 Factory is in Munich, and Oktoberfest we call it the fifth season of the year. You have winter, spring, summer, autumn, you have Oktoberfest. That's how it's called in Munich. And we know it from our childhood, and it's more than just beer. Of course, it's a beer celebration, but where is it coming from? The original Oktoberfest is a marriage. It was a big, a prince and King Ludwig I. They were marrying his princess Therese, and they wanted to make a big celebration for their marriage and invited everyone. So everyone could join. And that's where it started, like 200 years ago, a bit more. And since then, they were celebrating that every year. And because Munich is such a big beer place, they started selling beer, and it became mostly about selling beer. And that's what most of the people know, of course. But around that, we have those big tents and everything where people are, drinking all that beer. But around that, there's a big fairground with a lot of attractions, booths, roller coasters, tunnel of horrors, like those kinds of attractions. And this is what is a big part of my memory of the Oktoberfest. It's just this enormous fairground where you go with your family or with your friends to have a great time. And that's what we thought about when we thought about creating that game. We actually thought about creating a virtual fun fair where people go, meet other people, or go with their friends to have a fun time together. And also, while working on that, we at some point realized, okay, this is not the perception people outside of Germany and Munich have. Like most of the people, they just think it's about the beer. Fair enough, it is about the beer. Like, I don't know how many million of liters they're selling every year. But the nice part of it is also, all the fun you can have around the beer. And also, I think no one is actually going there just for the beer. The people are going there to meet other people, to engage with other people, to, even know new people. And it's about human connections. And this is like, the beer is just, that part that makes it a bit easier. Not if you drink too much, then it's getting difficult again. But, that's why we all, alcohol is such a big thing in our world, I guess. So, when we were thinking about creating, why did we think about creating a social VR game with the name Oktoberfest? We thought, or the theme Oktoberfest, we thought, okay, we cannot recreate beer in VR, and we also don't want to do that. But as I said, it's not about the liquid itself. It's about the effect it has. And we thought that playing games, this is what connects people in a virtual space. This is the same effect that you would have when you're sitting there drinking a big stein of beer and meeting new people, getting in a conversation. We thought being together, playing together, will also create this connection, will facilitate talking to new people you don't know, meeting new people. And that's why we thought it's a great idea to recreate that in VR, because also, of course, roller coasters are just perfect. Like the first experience I did on the DK1 were roller coasters, and they are there. Also, dressing up as an avatar, customizing your avatar, that's also unique to Oktoberfest, because I don't know if you know, but the people are wearing those funny traditional outfits, the lederhosen and the dirndls. So when you go there, you also dress up. You put on, your avatar in a way. And so we thought it's matching pretty well. But then we realized we have to tell the people that Oktoberfest is not just about the beer, it is a fun fair. And that became a little challenge, but I think that's a challenge we were happy to take on. And also because then we started to talk to the city of Munich about the idea, because city of Munich is the organizer of the Oktoberfest. And they really liked the idea. And they said, hey, this is great, because then we can, bring some of our culture and what it actually is about to the world and make it, explain what I just explained to you, to people all around the world, and also have this cultural, I don't know how to say in English, but maybe heritage is too big of a word, but showing what's behind, like the tradition that is behind. And this is
one thing I never thought was people bringing kids to Oktoberfest. My brain never comprehended that. So obviously I'm wrong in that. And what I'm really liking is that you're not just doing something like oh, let's just do an Oktoberfest thing, but you're trying to bring people into the experiences you remember when you were younger, going to Oktoberfest, I'll assume with your family, not just a gang of kids going, we're going. And the things that you did there that were the most enjoyable.
Yeah, that's it.
I also didn't know that it started with, this was really just a big wedding party.
Yeah.
That the whole country was invited to, or all of Munich, or whatever the case. Will that history be in the game as well?
Yeah, so we have one thing that was very important for us, obviously, is to tell that aspect. And right now we have it in a small portion, because in our loading screens, we always show pictures of the real Oktoberfest and have little facts about it, that tell you, hey, the first Oktoberfest was then, it was a Marriott and so on. Or, for example, Albert Einstein worked on the Oktoberfest. I didn't know that myself, but he, as a kid, helped his father screwing light bulbs into the tent. Who would have known? And there are so many little facts about it. And that's what we are telling currently in a very simple way, but that's just due to the scope of the project. We have a whole NPC lineup of characters that should show up and give you little quests that you then can interact with to experience that story and to experience what's actually behind this whole thing. And two of those characters are the ghosts of that couple that was marrying back then. So you will see them roaming around, but this is the future. That's not going to be on the release version.
No, I'm liking that you are bringing actual cultural reality into the experience. And again, taking from your own, enjoyment of it's just more than just beer. You can actually go to Oktoberfest and do many other things besides drink and eat bratwurst. So,
and I like that you slipped in that there's plans for post-launch. Like you have a full vision for this down the line. So this isn't something that's just for the season of Oktoberfest. This is something you want to keep alive.
Yes, definitely. So this is also a big point that when we were talking to Meta, they often say, hey, this is a seasonal project. Of course it is. It has a seasonal aspect to it, especially the IRL Oktoberfest. It's just 2 weeks. Finally, it starts in September. It starts next Saturday. So, but the game will be accessible the whole year. And, we just hope that, those 2 weeks in the year, they will just help us to get new people in every year. And then hopefully they will also stay beyond, the season of October. And, I'm pretty convinced that's going to be the case if they like the game, because that's where you might meet, you might have fun, you come back to. And, so the idea, what you just said, it's the connection to the real thing. Everything you see in the game exists in real. So we like the whole environment. I mean, you have been playing it already. So everything you see there is based on a real attraction, based on a real tent. So we went there last year on a big research trip. Everyone is laughing when I'm telling that, but it was really like that. So we went through the whole place, took a lot of photos, and our ambition was to recreate those attractions, booths, tents as close as possible. Obviously in a stylized look, because it's, on a Quest 2. But all of that is inspired by reality. And even the games you play are inspired by the real attractions that you can find there. So,
I would think people will play it outside of just Oktoberfest time period.
I think that's one of the selling points of it. It's for like people like me and you that realistically, are we ever going to end up at in-person Oktoberfest? You never know, but
I'd like to say at least that's something that's kind of like a
bucket list.
It's not a full-blown bucket list, because I've talked to some people who are like, oh, you're making it out to be more in your head of what it really is. And I've heard other people go, oh my God, dude, you got to go there at least once in your life and experience it. Everyone's so nice, it's friendly. There's there's music playing, people are dancing, people are drinking, but I never heard people are playing games.
So I love the concept, though, that for
So I'm
people
learning something
that never will have the opportunity to go, that they'll be able to experience Oktoberfest. And for people that love the fair and stuff, they don't have to wait until, you know, late September to go there. They can go there
whenever you want
in April. So I think that there's actually selling points to keep to going in mid-year, you know, for, again, people like myself that maybe aren't going to end up in Munich, Germany in September. And also for people that just love the freaking fair and they want to see it in April or whatever.
Will you be demoing this at the fair?
Well, that's not planned at the moment because, you know, you have to know this is a completely different thing to be on the real Oktoberfest. Of course, we are, you know, we know like a lot of people now. We know, you know, the responsible people. It's also a big, you know, political thing to get on the real Oktoberfest, especially when it comes about who is allowed to sell beer there, because there are very strict rules. But that's not our intention. But if we would want to be there on the real thing, we would need to have a booth at least, or, you know, some kind of attraction. That maybe at some point could be a plan. But for the launch, we said that's going to be like too much of a hassle, because then you have to create, you know, a booth. You have to pay for the rent and so on. So maybe next year.
So in game, will there be authentic music that you would expect to hear in Oktoberfest?
Yeah, definitely. So in every aspect, we try to stay authentic to the real thing. So, of course, we, like in the beginning, we even had German voices and labels and so on. And then we thought, well, that might take it a bit too far. So we translated most of that. But the music you hear is definitely what you would hear on the real one. Like it's close to what you would hear there. And also we have a music game in there because there are those tents, right? So Oktoberfest, also probably you don't know, but Oktoberfest is something that is built every year anew. So there's this open space in Munich. It's just a very big lawn, basically. And they built all the structures, all the attractions, all the tents there every year new. And then they have to deconstruct them after the celebration. So that's just the law. You're not allowed to build any permanent structures there. And in those tents, they're huge, those tents. We thought, okay, what could players do in there? Because in real, what are you doing? You're drinking beer, you're eating. That's most of it. But you also have a band playing. And then we thought, okay, that could be great. Let's do a music game on the Oktoberfest. And that's what we did. So back then, when we started with the project, there was this very funny game coming out, Trombone Champ. And that was an inspiration because it was really fitting, because those bands in the tents, they are those traditional music bands that are playing a lot of brass band. And then we said, okay, that's something we have to do. So we did a trombone game in our tents, and also one where you have to serve people, because we thought, okay, it won't be that fun to sit on a beer bench and eat virtual food. So what could be a bit more challenging and fun? And then we created a waiter game where you have to run around, serve people food and drinks.
So at launch, do you have an approximate number of how many games people will actually be able to experience?
Yeah, so we have 2 games that you can play together just with another person. Just between there's no, game mechanic except you're playing with that other person. You need another person. And then we have 5 games apart from that, and 3 motion rides. That's our launch package. And we do have 2 other games, but they didn't make it into the release version because they just they were out of scope. But one of them is already working pretty well, but it has we had to do some changes in the back end and the server, and then we couldn't refactor all of that. But it's basically a bumper cars game that's going to come soon.
That's going to be intense. And I can comment that I've done the roller coasters, and the top spin ride in there is what it's called. That is one of the most intense experiences I think I've done in VR. It's like, I recommend to sit down and do it. I say that, but of course I stand and do it. But I would say to others, I recommend to sit and do it. Yeah. And like, it takes you full. It's that ride that like loops up and then spins in the air.
Yeah.
And dude, it's intense. So some of the rides are quite quite powerful.
Yeah. Well, what's cool is it's obviously more options for people, because I know some people will be sensitive to.
Mm-hmm. Well, it tells you too, like it's high intensity. You know, so it gives you that warning on it.
Which to me is just incentive.
Yeah, that means I'm doing it.
If you're challenging me. You don't know me.
And the games are fun. Like right now you have kind of a shooting range one where, you try to shoot the targets for points. Yeah. And then I know there's the frog toss one. Then there's the trombone one, which is funny. Now there's Trombone Champ Unflattened coming to VR as well too. Yes. And then I know you described like the ones that you play with each other. I know there's like the rock, paper, scissors, shoe. Sure. Yeah, so it's just silly stuff like that. There's stuff that in there that I love too. I know you're a big fan of it too, like the ability to clap, small little interactables, like that too. And I'll applaud you all a lot too in the way that you incentivize getting new cosmetics, because it's all through, you use gold that you get through playing the games. So you see these clothes that you want, it's like, all right, time to go play in the fair,
Yeah.
So I think that's a great mechanic.
Cool. Happy to hear that.
So what's your favorite game right now to play in there?
Hard to say, because good question. I have to say what I really like, but I think we have to develop it a bit further, is the games in the tent. So where you're serving the people and also where you're playing the trombone. However, like we recently adjusted some things on the shooting range, and now we have kind of different levels. And it also, now I also think, okay, that's also really funny. and I like the clapping game. I don't know if you saw that, if that was already in there when you played it. So we have those rock, paper, scissors game, but now we also have a game where you have to, do this clapping thing. And, it's a kids game, but it's, we want to take that a bit further. Right now it's just, you have to hit. You have like a 3x3 grid, and there are always hand symbols lighting up, and like the two persons have to hit those targets with their hands. And this, for me, is a prototype for something that could be much, more. It could be a rhythm game, because there's so many rhythm games in VR, and I think it could be a rhythm game that is played together, and that's my vision for it. So let's see how we get there, but yeah, that's the plan.
Cooperative rhythm game that depends on both persons being accurate to get the score. Is pretty intense. I like that kind. I've seen it in like some of the band games where you can work together, but this one sounds like if you're not on point with each other, then you're both going to suffer for not suffer in the long run with the score. That's pretty cool. Like an adult version of patty cake.
Yeah, exactly. Patty cake was the idea, because we thought, hey, we need games that you can really just play with other people together. You need someone else. That's what we wanted to add there. And then we saw, okay, what kind of activities do you do? Patty cake might not be the thing you're doing on the real Oktoberfest, though. So.
Oh, it'd be funny. People think that's the thing, and then they're all good at these mini games, and they go to Oktoberfest and just start trying to hand slap with people. You learn some flavorful,
but maybe
flavorable German words, though.
Yeah. Maybe at some point we're adding a card game or something, because that's something more common there.
I think that would be a great addition.
It sounds limitless. Yeah, I mean, honestly, from adding new games down the road, which we already kind of gather is a thing. What's the asking price going to be at launch?
It's going to free to play, so you can just play it and have fun, join. Like the real Oktoberfest, you can just go there. You don't have to pay entry fee.
Really?
And then,
I did not know that.
No, you don't have to pay to get that. The only problem is, though, that you have to get an accommodation in a city that's completely booked out. That is enough of entry fee, but not for the fest. Anyway, and so we are going to monetize through cosmetics. So basically avatar customization. And this is, I think it's a fair thing to do because I hope kind of works. It works in Gorilla Tag and all these other games. And nobody.
I like it from a player standpoint. It's like it's not that I'm limited to play any of the games because I didn't pay.
Yeah.
It's just cosmetic stuff. So I like that direction a lot.
Yeah.
I'm always weird with free to play. Sometimes it's harder for me to click on a free to play than it is just charge me the. We've had many a rant of this as well as speaking to studios who have done I'll bring up Gods of Gravity, who like 100% should have been charging since day one for their.
And was free to play the vision since day one, or was that kind of something that came through the development of the game?
It kind of came because we thought, okay, the most important thing is that we get people in there. We don't want to have them not play the game because of a price tag. And that's why we thought, okay, it has to be like free to play. I completely understand. I don't like the concept either. It's like, I grew up in the 90s playing classic games, paying for them. And I still like that. With my daughter, I'm playing, Nintendo Switch, and you buy something, fair enough. You have a game. That's really cool. I don't want to spend stuff on, spend money to win. How do you pay to win? I hate that.
Pay to play.
That's a horrible concept.
Yep.
But for social games, I kind of think it's okay because cosmetics is nothing you have to do, and still it works. Hopefully, we're gonna get some money out of it that we can sustain ourselves, sustain the server costs, develop more games, and still allows a low threshold of entering the game.
I mean, it's risky.
Definitely, yeah, it is.
But I mean, developing in the VR space is a risk in itself.
Yeah,
giving it away is. I get it. I mean, I don't have a dog in the hunt from that side of things, but I'd be always that voice in a boardroom being like, "Oh hell no, we're charging something for this. I don't care. I don't care if it's $1.99. We're charging something."
I can get with the actual Oktoberfest fair being free too. It kind of matches the vibe of it too. So that's a good reasoning as well too. And what have been kind of some of the biggest challenges of developing a social VR game of the scope with all the mini games and such?
Well, definitely the whole multiplayer aspect. It's just so difficult. And also we have physical interaction. So at some point we just realized, okay, we make like the most complex combination of things you could do. You do VR, you do multiplayer, and you do physical simulation in one project. And it's like, why did we decide to do that? And it is really that making things work is just so difficult. And then also VR is also not easy in terms of UX, I think. It's much more complex, again, because the players can look anywhere. Just designing a damn menu, a settings menu. Like, how are you doing that? That it's interesting. It's not just a big screen in front of you. You want to do something that makes sense in the medium. And then very early on, we had that decision. Okay, we want to have haptic buttons. That's really nice because then you have your virtual finger and you press on the stuff. And that was also something where right now I think, okay, we should maybe not have done that because it costs us a lot of time to make those buttons work. We now have both options. So you have a laser pointer and you also have the haptic buttons. But still, I think it's really nice if you can do that in VR. If you can just push a button that's there. because you have a finger that you can use. And there were many challenges.
Well, I like that you're thinking long term with it. It's like, what the game launches with isn't the final vision. You have, it sounds like, endless ideas of things that you want to add. And like you said, it's endless possibilities too. So I'm excited to see, the reception at launch, but also where things go as more and more updates come. And kind of on that, I know personally, you can get the Discord. If you join the Discord, you can get access to the closed beta. But do you want to tell listeners, where the easiest way to I guess, find the Discord is and stay up to date on all the latest in Oktoberfest?
So we're definitely on all socials, Instagram and TikTok, Reddit, Twitter or X now, and Facebook. And I think if you search for Oktoberfest Game, it should always bring you there. Or we have a website, Oktoberfest.game. And there are all the socials linked as well. And of course the Discord, because through the Discord, you can play the game already through a closed beta. But if you just wait one more week from now, you can also play it officially in the store when the Meta Store is displaying it, because they're currently restructuring it, and it should be searchable already, but kind of is not, which is a bit of a problem. But
we'll put the direct link for it in the show notes, the episode description as well too. So if anybody clicks the link, they'll be able to. The
Discord link would be perfect if you put that in.
Yeah, that way people can hop into that nice little closed beta as well too. And what's just so we get it on record, what's the official launch date?
It's the 21st in Germany, but it might then in the US be the 20th, because we're launching at midnight 20, and then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just came back from Cologne for Gamescom.
Oh, you were there.
So,
nice. We also.
Yeah. I know you guys had a booth in the
B2B.
In the Bavaria region. We spent our whole time in that Home of XR booth. We kept telling ourselves we were going to wander around, and then
around a little bit.
Yeah,
it was a great booth. I have to say that was really nice. Like I was there a couple of times too, and also played Trombone Champ, of course. And very nice. So
you had good experience at Gamescom for you all as a booth.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess you could say.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
awesome.
It was good. It was very good. It's always so good to see people playing the game. That even you often have. We did many play tests remotely, and seeing people play the game in real is just something different. And then talking to them afterwards. So that was really nice. Gamescom is just amazing.
We're hoping we go back next year for sure.
Yeah.
That was truly mind blowing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a perfect testing grounds for you all with it being in Germany. Dude, everybody has a connection to it there.
I'd love to see the German government get involved, start putting this in every airport.
Well, is this something that you have official collaboration with Oktoberfest the fair, or is it kind of its own independent thing?
No, actually, we licensed the name. That's something at some point we found out. Oh, we have to license the name. Okay, that's why we contact the city. And but they loved the project, so the whole licensing was not a big deal. So we are official partners, the city of Munich, and of course we also have state funding in the project, and so.
Okay. So endless possibilities with that too. I mean, if they're an official partner and the games has a good launch, I think it's only in everyone's best interest. Let's show this baby off each year
and it's representing
the culture of
some a little bit of history, some culture, the social aspect, some fun. I mean, there's nothing negative about this.
No, again, show it to people that either maybe have a different idea of what Oktoberfest is.
It's just more people that are going to want to travel to Oktoberfest. Cuts into my space here. Whatever.
Too funny. So thank you so much today for joining us, Jan. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else you wanted to say to the listeners just before we close up shop?
Well, have fun playing the game. Join the closed beta, or soon download the open beta. And we are starting in early access. That's also something I want to say, that it's not the finished product. And thank you very much for inviting me.
No, glad to have you on. And I love the concept behind it from a cultural standpoint. I think it's a really cool idea.
Thank you.
This was one of these rare interviews. 99% of the time, I always try something before we'll talk to a developer. I went on this one on faith and trust in you because you had played it. So I went into it with the attitude of, I'm going in dry. I haven't played it. I saw a little video of it. That's all I know about it. Nothing else. Don't want to play it until I hear the developer sell me on why I should play this. And you did a great job. Because
thank you so much.
I won't join the Discord route. I'll wait for the drop to everybody and I'll jump on it. But yeah, you sold your product well. Wish you were charging for it. But I hope the masses will support the development team that's working on it, because I want to see where this actually goes. And I think it's a great product for Oktoberfest representation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jan, and to the listeners. Like he said, you can either wait a week and hop into the full launch, or if you can't wait anymore, go into their Discord, go join their closed beta. And, you know, if you like the game, as always, drop them a 5-star review on the store page. And likewise to us, if you enjoy the podcast, drop us a 5-star.
Doesn't hurt.
Review.
It's free too.
Helps. Yeah, come on, man.
Maybe
Free
we
podcast.
should charge for that.
Yeah, right. We're out here telling people they should charge for their stuff. We're out here putting out whole
Cost you
show
$1
for
to
free.
leave a review.
So too funny. So thank you so much,
Thank
Jan.
you as well. Have a nice
enjoy
day.
the rest of your day. And to the listeners, go check out Oktoberfest.
Yep.
Ciao, ciao.
See you. Bye.